All right, welcome back to another awesome episode of Life on the Ave. We are at episode number 79. Holy smokes, I can't believe we're at 79. I'm sitting here with my friend, Porfirio Espinoza. Am I saying it right?
Yep.
That's why I've said it in my head all these years.
Yeah,
Thank God I've been saying it right.
100%.
And you're in my phone as Porfirio. So even though like your social media and everything says Porfirio, in my head, you're Porfirio. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
That's perfect.
All right, cool. So I'm going to quick jump into your bio, give our listeners a background on you, and then I'm going to turn it over to you.
Cool.
All right, so sit back, relax. Let me give you your flowers. Porfirio Espinoza is a Delaware-based entrepreneur with a strong background in the restaurant industry and a growing focus on the real estate investment market. Born in Mexico and raised in Delaware, Porfirio studied culinary arts at Delaware Technical Community College and worked as a cook while serving for a food truck. He initially ran a food truck part-time while managing bar kitchens before going full-time, eventually opening a successful restaurant in Upper Chichester, PA. In the past year, Porfirio and his wife launched a chicken restaurant, Chico's Chicken, in Delaware County, PA, but sold it within a year to shift their focus into real estate. He recently passed the Delaware Real Estate Board exam and is officially licensed. His real estate plans include fix and flips, general construction, and investment properties, drawing from his experience handling restaurant builds and apartment renovations. Beyond business, Porfirio is passionate about wildlife, AI consciousness, love that. We'll talk about that. Futuristic movies. He enjoys traditional Mexican and European cuisine and is on a weight loss journey. He also values mindfulness and gratitude, incorporating these principles into his daily life. So welcome, Porfirio.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
ChatGPT did a good job with that.
Thank God, right? Like everything, like even these questions I came up with ChatGPT, like thank God, I just made my life so much better.
Right.
Yeah. So welcome to the podcast. Porfirio and I have been friends for a while. We'll get into that, but let's turn it over to you. How did we get here? Quick background on you. How are we sitting in this seat today?
So we met probably like pre-COVID, I think.
Oh yeah. It was before I got married. So yeah.
So during that time, I was with the food truck, but I had already started maybe like a year and a half before that.
Yeah.
So I did finish culinary arts at Del Tech.
Awesome.
Stanton campus. But during that time, I was working in a restaurant, like Bio said. But I was also doing medical interpreting.
You're like a jack of all trades. You're like such an entrepreneur. You do a little bit of everything, I feel.
Yeah, I feel like most of us do.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So yeah, I took some medical terminology courses at the University of Penn.
Wow.
And
Casual, University of Penn.
and I was there with some like these smart like medical.
I was gonna
students
say UPenn is
for
legit.
that terminology. They knew like 5+ languages each.
Oh yeah.
But I just did like a small little terminology course on there. So I did that for a little bit, and I realized I didn't really like it.
And how old were you at that time? Because you're young.
It was right after high school, so maybe like 18.
Young.
18 or so.
Yeah.
So I did that maybe for like less than a year, I want to say. I was doing like school districts and like I was trying to get my foot into Nemours Children's Hospital. So, but they didn't have any paid positions, so I started just volunteering there, like after assignments and stuff. But I stepped away eventually, and then I went back to Del Tech to finish culinary.
Yep.
And then I started in a restaurant again. Eventually, we started selling food. My mom and I.
Yeah, like you did that out of your house, right? Like you started out small.
Yeah, like so we started with the neighbors actually. So we bought like this
cool
small little like 2-foot griddle, hooked it up to like a propane tank. We just started selling tacos from there.
And how old were you at that point?
Maybe like 19.
Yes, so young. How old are you now?
So. I'm 29.
Yeah, so young.
29 now.
Wow.
Yeah,
you have so much success for 29. You have so much to be proud of. But yeah, keep going.
Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, eventually we just, we decided why not get a food truck?
Yeah.
So we started, saving up for the food truck, built it out. By the time I graduated my culinary classes, it was pretty much ready to go. So we opened up, we found a spot, opened up for the first time. We were so excited. And then we did like $0 in sales the first day.
No way.
Yeah.
That's I feel like that's like how all good stories start. Like Michael Jordan getting cut from his, high school basketball team, right? Like that's how I feel like the best journeys begin. Humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time. Like we were we were making more money selling from like
Out of your
the
house.
front yard. Yeah. So open up $0, and
Wow.
then the next day maybe like $5.
Wow.
Third day maybe like $15, and then by the end of the week we only made like $200.
You're like,
So,
crap.
Yeah, I was like, dang, and I had already left the restaurant.
Right. You're all in.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
So we just kept up with it. I think like maybe like 4 months in, this guy approached me. He was like, "Hey, I own a bar in Delco." He says, "I'm looking for somebody to run the kitchen." And I'm like, so I told him, "Look, I'm already doing this full time. I can't work for somebody."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "No, I want you to like pretty much make it yours."
Wow.
And so that was an opportunity. I was thinking, should I take it or not? So, I rolled with it. I said, hey,
Wow.
why not? So I opened up a kitchen over there, and those hours were crazy. They
Yeah.
were like,
That's like nights and weekends?
right.
Yeah.
So it was like 5 p.m. to like 2 a.m.
Sheesh.
And so we did that. And while I was over there, actually, so I was hopping back and forth.
So you kept the truck at that same
Yeah,
time?
yeah. But the one that was on there mainly was my mom.
Mm-hmm.
So she was running that, and I was just going back and forth. But while I was at that bar, another guy approached me. Hey, I like what you're doing here. I also have a bar that
You're
I
getting
just opened up.
poached.
And he's like, I want to do the same deal you have over here.
Wow.
I want you to run it over there as if it was yours. So I was like, why not? Let's do it.
Yeah.
And I went over there also, set it up, did the whole menu. And yeah, so all 3 places were running. I was getting like no sleep that whole
Yeah.
year.
You're grinding it out.
Yeah. No sleep. Eventually, it just got to me. It was just so tiring. I was just stressed. I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to jump back to the food truck.
Yeah.
So I cut ties with my partners over there. Went back to the food truck. I think at this time we were only open like Thursday through Sunday, I think.
Mm-hmm.
So once I came back, I think we did Monday through Saturday,
Mm-hmm.
and then so we were doing good. We had a good momentum going, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
So nobody knew what to do
Right.
during COVID. So we decided to just shut down for a couple months.
Wow.
Eventually we were just like bored out of our minds.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said,
It's a
hey,
weird time.
Yeah. So we decided to just open up again. We opened up, and then we just blew up.
You blew up. Yeah.
Blew up on social media.
So context,
in person.
he has a very an amazing Instagram account for this restaurant. So you out of nowhere like went from like, normal food truck, and then it was like boom, you had some huge influencers that came and you all of a sudden, and now you have how many followers? Like 15,000 something?
Like 19 point something?
Yeah,
19%.
crazy.
Yeah.
So a huge following. So like it wasn't overnight to you, right? Like you've been at this
Right.
for years at this point, but it was like an overnight, you were like phenomena.
Yeah.
Like you
big
kept
time.
coming up in my feed, constantly coming up in my
really?
feed. Yes. Oh my gosh. And like a couple big YouTubers came, a couple big like Philly people came down, and that's when like I watched it happen. I was like, holy smokes, this guy's killing it.
Yeah, I think the one that really opened the doors for like all the other influencers was JL Jupiter when he came by.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you like to the moon. Like you
Pretty much.
skyrocketed. It was crazy. And when one of the times we came and ate at the food truck, like there was a line.
Yeah.
And then I remember we put our order in and we waited like 45 minutes. Like you can only do so much in a food truck.
Yeah.
Like and if you have a line around the block, like it was crazy. But you had such a cool space. Talk about where the food truck was and what that environment was like.
Yeah, so it was like a little like randomest place. I want to
random,
say,
but a great location.
Yeah. So we were parked on Ridge Road in Naaman's. So it was literally right around the corner from my house because I used to live in Claymont. So we were at that spot for a couple of years. I want to say maybe like two or 3 years.
Yep.
We were like hidden in the back side of the parking
Yeah, like
lot.
you wouldn't know it was there. So when we first came, I remember like we couldn't find it. I'm like, where is this? Like couldn't find it. You find like a little parking spot like on a side street. You walk down. He had a bunch of picnic tables, some cute like strung lights, and then the truck. And everyone just gathered around like everyone's waiting for this food. Like everyone was, I think we came on a Friday. A lot of like blue collar workers on their lunch break. Like there's a lot of industrial parks back there. So I think you had a great location to really just like take it to the next level. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's where we were at. And then once everything was going good, we had plans to open up our restaurant location right there with the owners.
Yep.
But then all of a sudden another opportunity came to actually buy like a building with a restaurant already like pre-built in there.
Wasn't it like a Greek restaurant before? It was something weird. Yeah. So he's now on Chichester Ave, right? That's the name of that street. So he's on Chi Ave. Now you're officially in PA.
Yeah.
So that was a shift.
Yeah.
But he has his own space. It's awesome inside. You bought that building. So tell us about that process.
Yeah. So, oh man, that was a nerve-wracking process too, because I've never bought like anything related to commercial. So it was a whole different ballgame. I worked with the realtor I worked with actually ended up being my little sister's. I think it was like some type. She did something within the school.
Nice.
So my little sister knew her. So she was the owner's. Her husband runs Scott's Realty.
Okay. Okay.
So her husband was the owner's agent.
Wow.
So it was a complicated deal because there was another guy renting it during that time as well. I don't want to get too much into it.
No, that's okay. So you buy that building, you completely renovate it. Like you made that space your own. Yeah. How was that process?
That was a learning experience, big time.
This is how many years ago? 3, 4?
In 2022.
Yeah, so like 3.
But like 3 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the thing was that everything that was there was already grandfathered in with the previous owner. But once I took over, I had to update everything to like code. So it was a bunch of construction going on.
It's expensive.
It's expensive. And I knew nothing about like construction at all back then. But it was a learning experience. I mean, I made even great friendships coming from like the people I hired to do like the construction work. I even partnered up eventually with one of the contractors now.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I learned a whole bunch. After that, we got it up and running, and then it came with an apartment. So I was like, okay, now I know how to do this. Right. So we renovated the whole apartment upstairs. And yeah, I mean, we've been open since.
And now you're a landlord.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So why do you think you guys took off so quickly, like that social media phenomenon? Like, I know what my answer would be, but like, what for you do you think like really took you from, I'm just a food truck and people might drive by and see me, to like people are seeking me out coming from Philly to eat my food? I
think it's because like the stuff we serve is like different. We try to stay up on like trending stuff more than anything. So we would be like the first ones to introduce. I mean, even now when I search up like these new Mexican spots coming up, I'm like, oh, you know what?
Been there, done that.
Like I was the one that did that.
Correct. You were the first person. I'm going to butcher how to say this. Burrito taco. You were the first person I ever had that from. Yep. And now it's like every Mexican restaurant's doing the dip and the taco, and everybody's got that content. And I'm like, you've been doing that since you started. You were the first person I ever saw do that.
I remember when we would sell like 5 orders max a day.
Yeah. It's crazy.
And we would have so much left over, and eventually in the food truck it would just be sold out like every day.
Yep. You'd post on your Instagram, sorry, we're sold out today. And it would be like 2:00. It wasn't even like you made it to the dinner hour. Like you were sold out at like mid-lunch. Yep. Yeah, crazy. Yep. So, I also, my favorite dish that you have is the quesadilla pizza. Like I love that. When we ordered it, it came out in a huge pizza box. Like it's not like, individual person's little, pizza. Yeah. Like this is a massive, like when I'm telling you, like it was heavy to hold. It was insane. We got the chicken quesadilla pizza, and my favorite part was like you have all the sauces like scattered around it. So like you're not shy about like giving sauces, and like you're all in for the full experience. Yeah. So I remember I see that in like different places now. Yeah. But I'm like, been there, done that. Yep. Yeah. You to me were the first person in this area that was really doing all of that. And I think it's a testament to, you know, why you're so successful and why you're killing it. Do you have any newer dishes that you're pushing right now, or what's super popular?
Yeah, so we do like the street food festivals, and I think it was last year. I think I tried to get in there a little bit late. It was the Baltimore one, and I messaged the organizer. I was like, "Hey, can I still get in there?" And she was like, "All the Mexican slots are filled up already." And I'm like, you know, I messaged her. Well, you know, I'm a chef. I don't just
Right. I'm not just a normal Mexican.
Yeah, I was
restaurant.
like, well, tell me what you don't have.
Right.
And she's like,
wow, cool. What'd she say?
Yeah, she was like, well, we don't have our egg roll vendor this year. I was like, sign me up for egg rolls.
Wow.
So I did a salmon egg roll. I did a birria egg roll, sort of fit that in.
Cool.
Still,
yeah.
And a cheesesteak egg roll.
And how was it?
So we sold out twice.
Are you still doing it out of the truck at that point? Like,
so it was in Baltimore. So I had bad experiences taking the food truck in Baltimore.
Yeah.
Every time I take it, it breaks down.
oh no.
So this last time we did a tent setup over there.
Cool.
And you know, we just
You just
put
do
the
it.
fryers and
It's
all
back
that.
to your roots, just
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in your
pretty
front
much.
yard.
Pretty
Yeah.
much.
You're like, I can make this anywhere.
Yeah. So
Good for you.
a big thing, you know, people love the salmon egg rolls. Mm-hmm. So a year later now, I'm like, you know, we might as well just bring it to the restaurant. It's not
Yeah.
really Mexican,
But who cares?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
you're-
now, you know, we make maybe like 80 orders at the beginning of the week, and like halfway into the week, they're gone.
Wow. Wow. So cool.
So definitely, I mean, we it's more like a trial. Like we try new things, and then if they don't work out, we take them off. If they work out, then we keep them.
Cool.
We started making birria tamales. People are loving those too.
Nice.
So
And you're still big on content and social media. Like you're just still growing this. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm now that I do like a little bit more
Yeah.
stuff, you know, I'm not really on there 24/7, but I still try to you know, keep up with it.
Yeah, keep your followers happy. So
Yeah.
one of the things I've always really looked up to you about is you don't shy away from the fact that like you've been so inspired by your mom throughout this process. Talk about your mom, her influence on all of this.
Yeah, so I'd say if it wasn't for her taking initiative with something, you know, with starting, I'd say we wouldn't even be here where we're at because, like my younger years, I was a really lazy person.
Nice.
Like,
That's
not
funny.
motivated at all, nothing.
No, that's
so
crazy.
I even wanted to stop, like my culinary classes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I told her, hey, you know what? This is going for too long because I was doing it part time.
Yeah.
And I was like, I think I'm just gonna stop and just, you know, try to do the food truck.
Yeah.
Like already. And she was like, no. She was like, why don't you find out, see how much credits you need left? And so I went to find out. I literally only had like 2 classes to take to be done.
Wow.
So I finished.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Thank God she shook you.
Yeah.
Wow.
So when we started selling, you know, we had the food truck already ready there. It was just sitting for a couple months. And she was like, when are you going to start? I was like, okay, once I'm done. You know, I'm always pushing it, you know. But one day I just see her buy like this big thing of like beef, and she starts just chopping it up for like tacos. And I'm like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, you don't want to start, I'll start.
Wow.
and I guess that's what sort of like motivated me. I was like, well, I'm not gonna let her do it by herself.
Right.
So I run and get some more supplies, you know, start helping her chop up the meat, get the grills ready, and we started on like a Friday afternoon. And that's what pretty much boosted, you know, everything.
And that just got the wheels turning.
Yeah.
Is she still involved with the business today?
Yeah, she is. She can step away, but she doesn't like to.
She loves it.
She loves it.
Oh,
yeah.
that's awesome.
So at the restaurant, she's maybe, like 4 days? 4 days a week?
Wow, that's a lot.
4 days, yeah.
Wow. So is she like running the show back there? Is she more like customer experience? Like what is her role?
She likes being in the kitchen.
Yeah.
So she's probably there. She comes in sometimes in the morning, sometimes like midday, more like quality control. She still gets on the grill.
Wow.
She just loves it.
Wow.
her hot sauces. She doesn't let nobody touch her hot sauces.
Wow, that's so
even
cool.
though we know how to make them.
Yeah,
but
no, she's
like
doing
really,
it.
really picky with that.
Wow.
She stepped off a little bit with the aguas frescas, the natural juices we make.
Mm-hmm.
But that used to be like her thing. Nobody touch, these. But now, we
Oh yeah, your juices. We haven't even talked about your
Yeah.
juices. Do you still do the juices?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so when at the food truck, I remember you had like a couple, like 4 or 5 of them, and then when we were initially touring, because he did look at some Delaware spaces with me. When we were initially touring in Delaware, you wanted like a whole bar and counter of them. Do you have that now?
Yeah, it's not as big as I wanted it to be,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not now. We're down to like 3 different types a day.
Nice.
But we make like 10 gallons of each
Wow.
a day.
Wow.
And that's how much we were going through with when we were in the food truck. I think
Yeah.
we were probably going through like 30 gallons of like different juices a day.
And that's like labor intensive, right? Like that's a lot of
Yeah.
ingredients. That's fresh ingredients. Yeah.
So
Wow.
so we're right next to Produce Junction.
That's so convenient.
So
so
yeah,
convenient.
Once we run out, we just run over there, see what fruits they got,
Yeah.
and make our aguas frescas from there.
Wow. What would you say today would be your most popular item?
Definitely birria still.
Yeah, still.
People go crazy for that.
It's
birria
so good. It's so good. It's like special. And when I had it, that was like I said, it was the first time I ever had it. And I mean, look at me, I'm as Irish as it gets. Like I didn't grow up eating these kinds of foods, and that to me was like life changing, like insane. I'm like, how have I lived my whole life without having this?
Yeah.
It's crazy. What makes yours so good, like so special?
I would say
Because is that hard to make?
no, it's not. But I would say you just have to have the right sauce to begin with, like that, with the right mix of like the peppers and everything.
Yeah.
That, and when it comes to like cooking it, you have to, you just have to make them like really crunchy with the oil that comes from the sauce you make.
Yeah. And Patrick will drop in like videos of this from your social media. It's so good.
Okay.
So if anyone hasn't been this place, I highly, highly, highly recommend. It's insane. Do you think most people are coming to like sit down and eat, or is this more like become a takeout spot?
So I think the weekends is like sit and eat.
Yeah.
During the week, we get more takeout during the
Yeah.
week, right? But we still get our dining people.
Yeah.
But definitely the dining is definitely heavy on the weekends. We get a pretty good crowd at lunchtime, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because we get packed, and sometimes it's hard to keep up with the orders. Yeah.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the chicken spot. When did you decide, okay, I'm going to totally pivot? Like, this is a whole different planet. Maybe not, to you. I'm sure if you're making egg rolls on a whim, like maybe it wasn't a huge pivot, but, to an outsider like me, like that was a huge shift for you. How did that come about? What kind of inspired that?
I'd say my wife.
Nice.
She's a big.
His wife is here, so shout out.
She's a big Chick-fil-A.
Hell yeah, who's not?
Fan.
Same.
So one time we were driving, we were passing Chick-fil-A. And I was like, what if we make a chicken spot?
Nice.
And I was like, name it Chico's Chicken. and the idea just came from it.
Yeah, and then once you get that itch, you can't.
Yeah, and I was just like, you know what, I really like this. So I messaged this one guy on social media that does our like a branded cups and like containers, all that. I'm like, hey, can you make me a logo with Chico's Chicken?
Nice.
And he's like, yeah. I was just gonna have the logo there just in case I ever decided to act on it. So he made it, and then like that same week, I drove by the Mexican restaurant, Tacos Mexiko, and I saw a for rent sign of this like kitchen space that had been vacant for like 2 years, but I never knew how to contact whoever owned it. So he had just put a sign up, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give him a call. So I called him, and I didn't get to talk to him, and then he called me back maybe like 2 days later, and he told me who he was, and he's like, hey, you know what, let's meet.
Yeah.
There's somebody else that's interested in it, but
Which makes you want it more.
yeah. So, but he was like that's the owner's guy, but they don't have any restaurant experience.
Right.
I see that you guys are still open at that.
Right.
Where you guys have the Mexican spot, and honestly, before we just kept having like failed businesses there.
Right. Over and over.
Time after time.
And the space you were in was a failed business over and
Yeah,
over. Like that
yeah.
place, it was a Greek restaurant. It was I think it was a China. I don't remember, but Vincent's from that area. My husband's from that area, so
Okay.
I drove past it for years.
Yeah, it was like a couple of different pizza shops. Also.
Yeah, it was like Jinx. Yeah.
Yeah. So he was like, yeah, I honestly, I would feel more comfortable if the owner rents it to you. So
Yeah.
I think we closed on that deal that same month.
Wow. So it moved quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very quick. But I didn't start construction until like 2 or 3 months later, right?
Yeah.
The rent was like
Dirt cheap.
amazing.
Yeah.
I couldn't even believe it. So I did that whole build out myself after learning
Good for
from
you.
the first couple builds. And yeah, we opened up. We did a whole, everything branded, logo, recipes.
Yep. And same like concept social media wise. Did you like the dips of the chicken, the sauces?
Yeah.
Like you are very, very, I think, skilled at like creating imagery that like people love. Like when I see your posts, like I want to eat that immediately. And I think some of these restaurants get kind of stale with just like one quick picture, like a silly iPhone video, and like you're doing the dips and the dunks and the all the things. And like I feel like it's it's clear why you're so successful. You're so cutting edge with the social media.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. But yeah. So it was the same concept. I think it was like one of the best products ever with
Wow.
chicken, because we tried a couple different chicken spots in the area. And
Nice.
We're like,
Yeah,
this is
we
what
got
people
this
are going
on lock.
crazy for. Like,
Yeah.
seriously.
And why do you think that is? Like, what makes yours different? Like, is it the chicken recipe? Is it the sauces? Like, why are those places not as good as yours?
The breading.
The breading.
The breading. So our main like our big flavor is in the breading.
Wow.
Which versus the other spots, what's trending right now is like hot chicken.
Yep.
So
We have a couple that just opened in Wilmington,
Yeah.
like out of nowhere, pop, pop, pop.
Yeah.
They're all open at the same time.
So their flavor is in the sauce.
Right.
Not necessarily the breading. If you eat
So
like
true.
some tenders or like a patty that's not dipped in their hot sauce, you're like,
Yeah, it's bland.
I'd rather go to Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
So ours, you bite into it and the flavor's there. If
Wow.
you add the sauce, or you mix it with any hot sauce or anything, it's an addition. Just complements it.
Right.
But
Right. It doesn't require it.
Right.
Yeah.
So our breading was like, we were really strict with our breading.
Yeah. Good for you.
Yeah.
So you sold that.
Sold it. Yeah.
Why
Yeah.
did you sell it?
So last February, I think we signed the lease on like the end of March or something like that.
Yeah, it's only been open for like a
March
year.
or April, something like that. But during that time, we were in real estate classes. So our whole plan was to venture into real estate.
So cool.
But then we ended up opening the chicken spot. So I didn't even take the state or national
Yeah,
test until
yeah.
a whole year later because of that.
Wow.
So, it was a fun venture. It was just time consuming.
Yeah, totally.
So-
And if you have this like burning passion, desire to get into the real estate
Yeah.
world, you got to kind of block out the things that aren't serving you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And if
Yeah.
you build a successful business, like, why not cash in on it and
Yeah.
move on to bigger and better things?
Yeah. So, the new owner, he actually ended up being the first person to put in an offer.
Cool.
I was telling her, my wife, I was like, most likely, it's gonna be a process for us to sell this. It's never the first person. Ended up being the first person.
Cool.
Yeah. So
Sometimes your first offer is your best.
Yeah.
Yeah. We tell
So-
sellers that all the time. Like sometimes the strongest is going to come in first. They want it that bad.
Yeah.
So it's like, don't hesitate. If you feel in your gut it's the right person,
Right.
like jump on it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So he has plans to make it grow.
Good.
He has, and we're just happy to see that happen.
Good.
And it allows us to focus on our next venture.
Yeah. All right. So let's talk about real estate. So would you say you found your love for this real estate journey because of your fit out experience, the apartment, doing the renovations, or like how did we get into this love of real estate?
So I tried flipping cars.
You've done it all. What
tried
haven't
flipping
you?
cars.
What haven't you done? Flipping cars,
And,
casual.
I liked it, but it was just like, this is like, too little of a
Right. It's a lot of work for no
profit,
pay. Yeah.
So, construction, I like seeing a space going from like, who would buy that to like,
Right.
wow.
Yeah.
So I really like that. And I met up with this guy that does a lot of flips in Delaware.
Cool.
And he just opened up my mind more into it. Seeing the whole process of it, and I really love it. But I would say it definitely started with the construction. That construction was just, if there's a lot of people doing it, why can't I?
Right.
Yeah.
So what's your goal? Do you think I think your bio said you want to mostly focus on like fix and flips?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
but you're a landlord, so do you think you'll hold on to anything? Do you enjoy the landlord life? It has its pros and cons.
The pros and cons for sure. I would say the cons is, sometimes you have to fix stuff, which I don't like.
Yeah.
But the pros is, you got that passive income coming in.
Yeah.
I would say eventually hold on to some things, but at first I would like to, fix and flip.
Nice.
Eventually, yeah.
So you actively looking? Are we looking for a flip right now?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So, but first, I want to get set with somebody that's going to hold my license.
Nice. Are you interviewing? Are you looking? Where are you thinking?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I think
There's
I
a
made
lot
my
of
mind
options
up.
in Delaware.
Yeah.
Yes. So we're a Compass, which I'm sure you know. Compass is definitely like the technology luxury brokerage. Not the cheapest brokerage, I would say, in terms of like splits. But if you're someone that's going to do, high volume sales and lean into the technology, it makes sense. Maybe someone like you that's looking at your costs, when it comes to buying and flipping properties, Compass probably wouldn't be the best option for you. But there's a ton of brokerages in Delaware that are amazing. So I'm sure you'll find an awesome home.
Yeah. I think I pretty much made my mind up.
Good. Good. That's exciting.
Yeah. So, I would love to also, represent people.
Cool. Help people.
Buys and
Yeah.
purchases and sales. So
Yeah.
do a little bit of everything.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. My husband says all the time, like his why for getting into real estate is helping just like normal people.
Yeah.
Like the normal, average Joe that's working their 9 to 5. They're, middle to lower class Americans that are just like, how do I buy a house? Because they don't teach us that in school. They don't teach us what a down payment is, what, your debt to income ratio is, all these things. So our team is particularly passionate about helping like the first time home buyer.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're very similar, like, coming from humble roots, like you're very community based. Like you said, you're selling tacos out of your front yard. Like I could totally see you being like a great realtor.
Let's hope so.
Cool. I love that. So where can people follow you? Let's do a self promotion.
Yeah. So definitely the restaurant. We have two pages actually.
Okay.
The reason is two separate names. So Tacos Mexico is our big account. TACOS Facebook and Instagram. Our restaurant page is Tacos Mexico Restaurant. So
Right.
It's Mexico with the KO. That was for trademark purposes.
Right.
Because we were planning on like franchising now and growing bigger. But we weren't able to trademark.
Right. Somebody already had it.
Somebody already had it.
Yeah.
My personal account I forgot what's my Instagram.
It's like Furio something.
Furio.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
are you going to share your real estate journey on social media?
Maybe. I mean, I worked with this videographer for the grand opening of the chicken place.
Yeah.
And he was like, just big on like, hey man, you got to self-brand.
You do.
And I've always been like a behind the scenes type of person.
But you're in a lot of these YouTube videos and stuff. When these influencers would come, like you are in the videos. So you're not shy to the camera.
Yeah.
I think you should go all in on it. Yeah. What do you think? She says yes. Wife says yes. And get her in. Like for me and me and my husband, it's when we're in it together, it's like more fun. It's not like, oh, you're in front of the camera, I'm not. Like for us, we both like to do it. So I don't know. It's hard. It's challenging putting yourself out there all the time.
Yeah.
But I could see you guys being a cute, real estate content
we'll do it.
couple.
We'll see.
Good. Well, everyone will keep an eye out. So highly recommend checking this guy's restaurant out. The food is absolutely insane. My husband and I are huge Mexican fans. We eat at all the local Mexican places in Delaware, and by far you're the best. So highly recommend Tacos Mexico.
Thank you.
Still check out the chicken spot. It's still his recipes, still his items. So definitely check them out. And then I would say overall, like everyone watch out for this guy. Like you said you're 28, 29.
29.
You're 29 and you have already flipped cars. You've worked in the medical industry. You have opened and sold a business. You are a landlord. You are an existing content creator, whether you want to admit it or not. The sky is seriously the limit for you. Like, I can't wait to see if you did all that in 10 years, not 18 to 29, what do the next 10 years look like for you?
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm going to be watching for you. Everyone following this, definitely follow him because, the sky's the limit for this guy. And it's an honor to have you on this week. Thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in for an awesome episode of Life on the Ave, and we'll see you next week.